Kia ora te whare, tēnei te mihi nui ki a tātou I tēnei ahi pō, ko o tāne tēnei o Ruhanui, ko I nei te wā, e whakanui ana tātou I te mātahi o te tauhou Māori, tēnā koutou katoa. 20 years ago, I was sitting there, and Peter Ads was standing here. Tonight, I'm standing here and Peter Ads is out there drinking. Really, he should get us an F at least. Pretty poor attempt at being paid. I just want to say to you all, thank you so very much for having me along tonight. I do have this kind of page called Living by the Stars, but tonight it's Living by the Pa. And I just really want to thank you for having me along and to talk about Matariki. I'm not going to take too much of your time. I know there's a lot going on, but I want you to focus. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this little presentation is the name Hiwa-i-te-rangi. I just want you to remember that name, Hiwa-i-te-rangi. Here you can see on the screen here, this is an image of Matariki rising about 3 weeks ago. So here's Matariki, the cluster, next to Venus, just before the sun rises. But that is not the time to celebrate the Māori New Year. That's not the time to celebrate Matariki. Our ancestors' knowledge was part of this really detailed, connected, complex division of time. And it had all of these different feeders into this really beautiful way of following an environmentally led timekeeping system. It includes position of sun, it includes visibility of star, it includes lunar phase, it also includes migration of birds, spawning of fish, flowering of trees. All of this fed into this timekeeping system. And at the base and heart of that knowledge base is empirical science. But because empirical science, from a cultural perspective, can be quite boring unless you attach it to a narrative, they encompassed this whole knowledge system within this cultural narrative. So it didn't separate itself out just to be science. It became spiritual, it became cultural, it became ceremonial, and it became part of a living and evolving knowledge system that's interconnected to everything else in the world. And that's what I want you to focus on tonight. And I'm going to start with this little clip of how Matariki gets its name.
In the beginning, Sky Father Rangi Nui and Earth Mother Papatuanuku lay in a close embrace with their many sons between them. For eons they lay within the confinement of an unbreakable bond, or so it seemed. But within the shroud of darkness festered a rebellion that threatened to tear them apart. The sons of Rangi and Papa had gathered in secret. He kaupapa kei te haere, te wehenga o Rangi Rawako Papa. There was much bickering amongst the brothers, but in the end, all but one was in agreement. Tā Whirimātea, God of the winds and storms, did not approve of the separation and vowed revenge. With the help of his brothers, Tāne separated their parents. Using his powerful legs, Tāne thrust his father up into the heavens, causing an almighty explosion that resounded across the cosmos. Deaf to the anguish of their suffering parents, the brothers reveled in their freedom, but it was not what they expected. It was an expanse of dark and cold emptiness that quickly filled with a great flood of their parents' tears. The brothers were miserable and cold in their newfound freedom. Amidst the rain and from the darkness, lightning flashed. A figure of dread emerged. It was Tā Whirimātea. The world fell before Tā Whiri and his wind children, who were intent on one simple purpose: revenge. One by one, the brothers were defeated by Tā Whirimātea. First Tane, then Tangaroa, eventually only a defiant Te Herenga, god of war and humanity, remained. An epic fight ensued, a clash of titans. Tu was twisted in the air and slammed back into the ground, followed by a lightning bolt that Tu caught and hurled back at Tawhiri. Tawhiri launched a continuous stream of wind and lightning. Thunder resounded, the ground heated and cracked beneath them. Tu heaved mightily against Tawhiri, his legs locked on the earth, and slowly but surely he advanced against his brother Tawhiri. Quicker than the eye could see and the mind could comprehend, Tu reached out and caught Tawhiri Mātea. With all his strength and might, Tu smashed Tawhiri repeatedly into the ground. Tawhiri Mātea was defeated. However, Tawhiri Mātea, vowing to never let his brothers forget, had one final act of defiance. Clawing out his eyes in anguish and grief, he crushed them in his hands and cast the shards into the heavens. As if still possessing sight, Tawhiri turned his hollow gaze to Te Herenga, uttering one final warning.
Know this, I will attack you and your children forever. I will rain down chaos and destruction. I will have my vengeance. Karanakia with the Matariki Matua. You and yours will never escape me. Every time you look to the skies, you will see the Matariki, Tawhiri Mātea, Matariki, and remember, when you gaze upon our Father, my eyes will look down on you and remind you of what you have done.
I've just probably given the kids nightmares, sorry. So, Matariki is Pleiades. And the story that you've just viewed is the origin of the name Ngā Mata o Te Ariki Tawhiri Mātea, or the eyes of the god Tawhiri Mātea, the god of the winds and weather, who disagreed with the separation of his parents, tore his eyes out, crushed them, threw them into the sky. They stuck to his father's chest, and there they are today. And here's an image of Pleiades with the 9 Greek names within the cluster. And there's the name Ngā Mata o Te Ariki Tawhiri Mātea, the eyes of the god Tawhiri Mātea, which we truncate because no one wants to say, how are you doing, Ngā Mata o Te Ariki Tawhiri Mātea? Ngā Mata o Te Ariki Tawhiri, hurry up, it's Matariki. Or Matariki, as a number of places say, and then we've just shortened that even further, so it sounds nice and it becomes Matariki. We do have this thing going on called Little Eyes. This thing that was actually translated by Elson Best. This is his translation of what Matariki means. There's no narratives to support this, and it is something that we continue to perpetuate today. Right across the ancient world, Pleiades is the earliest and most well-recorded group of stars in the sky. There you see a cave painting. On the left-hand side, it is a bull. That painting is 20,000 years old, and above the shoulder of the bull, you see those dots? That is said to be the cluster of the Pleiades. There's a star disk there that's about 4,000 years old that is said to have the sun, the moon, and the stars of the Pleiades. Subaru in Japan. The earliest astronomical reference is from China. It's a few thousand years old and refers to the blossom stars, which are the Pleiades. In Europe, it's Freya's hens or Freya's chicks. That's what the Vikings thought. And there's Freya with her children being drawn across the sky by two cats. I'm not too sure why that's happening, but I bet that the engine on that chariot purrs. In Egypt, it's connected to the goddess Neith or Nit, who is said to be a goddess of fertility, and there you see it is also connected to cows. I'm not too sure whether Fonterra's got something to do with the Pleiades, but it is said to be a group of cows in the sky. In the Americas, particularly in South America, it's part of a cosmic snake. They see the same sky in the same position as we do down here in the southern hemisphere. When that cluster is said to be spread far apart and bright in the sky, your kumara or your sweet potato will grow well. And if it's close together, you're going to have a difficult season growing crops. It's exactly the way that it's seen here. In Australia, they were 7 females who ran away from 7 males and got turned into stars and are in the sky. But the record that we know most of all, and the narrative that is most told most often, is the Greek version. You remember that 20,000-year-old painting in a cave in France with the stars above the shoulder of the bull? Today, the stars of the Pleiades are in the shoulder of Taurus the bull. That's how we understand it today. It's also known as the 7 sisters, even though there's 9 stars. That's because they are the daughters of the other 2 stars, Atlas and Pleione, and were put into the sky to be kept away from Zeus. He was quite a frisky god and wanted all of them as wives, and the father said, hell no, put them in the sky. Now, if you look on this map, every single location that this map points to, the stars are known as Matariki. Now, that is an indication of just how incredibly magnificent the ancestors of the people who settled this region were at traversing the expanse of ocean on the map. Right up into the Marshall Islands, we're talking about Micronesia, into New Caledonia, Melanesia, into the central Polynesia, Tahiti, all the way to nearly South America. You're in Easter Island, Aotearoa. It is Matariki, or a version of Matariki. And everywhere it means the same thing. The eyes of the god or the eyes of the chief, until you get to Aotearoa and we get this little eyes thing going on down here. And there is an image that we quite often see portrayed saying, this is Matariki. Here you go, here's Matariki. No, this is Pleiades because it's upside down. This is how you see it in the northern hemisphere with all of its 9 names. And this is how we see it here, and with my ancestors' version of 9 names of the Matariki cluster. Now, I have 9 names. Other tribes have 7 names. It's because they can't count. I'm kidding. There are different versions throughout humanity about the number of stars in this cluster. There's versions of 6, 7, 9. The Prophet Muhammad viewed and named 12 with his naked eye, and there's some parts of Europe where they even had a story of 15 visible stars in the cluster. Lots of factors come into play: elevation, light pollution, air pollution, how blind you are, whether you live on the coast, much better living inland. The stars are clearer further away from the ocean. All of these factors come into play. All of these stars have a purpose and a meaning to us here. And, when you look into the sky, you're not going to see that, okay? I'd be very concerned if that's what you see. But this is my cultural perspective. I understand that these are giant balls of gas pulled together by gravity, burning light years from the earth. But my culture also lets me understand these as deity, as beings, as gods, and as my ancestors who have a connection to my everyday life here on earth. And I just want to quickly touch on them all. So Matariki is in the centre there. Interesting, Māori, we give Matariki the name of the cluster and a star in the cluster. So we're just trying to be difficult. Our stars have genealogy as well. So Matariki is the star, big star in the middle of the Matariki cluster. Her husband is Rehua, or the great red star in the body of the Scorpius, Antares. and they came together. One of his stations is Rongoa Māori, or Māori medicine. That's what he is the god of. He married Matariki, who's connected to well-being. She's a healer. So the medicine man married the healer. They have 8 children. Every single one of these children brings a bounty or something to us that we use or we're connected to throughout our year. And I'll just quickly touch on the children. The oldest is Pōhutukawa, and every time I put this up, lots of people go, yay, the Christmas tree. Sign of death. Okay, sorry, but in this instant, it's a sign of death, and I'll come back to Pōhutukawa. Tipu ānuku. Tipu means to grow, ānuku in the ground. Pretty basic, it's connected to everything that grows in the ground or touching the ground as it grows, like any fruits. Kumara, pumpkin, anything that's on the ground is connected to tipu ānuku. Her brother, tipu ārangi, grow in the sky. So anything that grows off the ground, berries, fruits, but particularly birds. The birds are associated with this star. Waiti means fresh water. This star has an association to all of the animals, the creatures that Māori would harvest out of the lakes and the rivers and the streams. Someone asked me, does that include rotten corn? I guess it's a combo of waiti and tipua corn, tipuarangi. Waita, ta is an old word for salt. Waita means salt water. This is connected to the oceans. Waipunarangi, wise water. Puna means to pull. Rangi is sky, it's rain. Ururangi is wind. It's connected, associated with the wind. And there is the final star, and this is a star I want you to take home. Hiwa-i-te-rangi. Hiwa-i-te-rangi is the star during the season where our ancestors would make their wishes and send their wishes to Hiwa. Hiwa was visible here in Pōneke. I received a photo and spoke to someone as they were watching it live on Tuesday morning when they saw Hiwa. Now, if that was seen by our ancestors, people with wishes in their hearts, something that they didn't share with everyone, otherwise people would take your wishes and bribe you or, and gossip. And you have wishes and you would be taken into the gardens where nothing is growing at this time of year, and they would dig a trench, and then you would stand in it and they would cover your feet with soil, and the tohunga would karakia, and he would do a particular karakia. Hira mai ai te whē ki te o te rangi, hira mai ai te nāwhao te rangi. It gets to a part where he says, hiwa nui, hiwa ro, hiwa pūkanga, hiwa wānanga, hiwa-i-te-rangi. Great hiwa, wonderful hiwa, all-knowing hiwa, hiwa in the sky. Takataka te kāhui o te rangi ko ia pau tō putanga ki te whai au ki te ao marama. Descend from the heavens, plant my wishes in the soil and make them grow. Hiwa means to be lush in the sky, come down to earth, plant your wishes in the soil and make them grow. And there they are. Now they're not randomly placed in these positions. Matariki is said to be the kai whakahaere, or the conductor of the cluster, right situated in the middle there. To her left, our right, you'll see tipu ānuku and tipu ārangi. Those are connected. Male, female, food from the sky, food from the earth. Rangi is always above nuku. That's just basic Māori rule 101. Auckland Stardome. Food from their food, so there is no tapu or sacredness in that part of the cluster. Waiti, waita, female, male, these two. Fresh water, salt water. Why is she above him? Fresh water always flows downhill to salt water, never the other way around. Their food, there's no tapu in that part of the cluster. Right up above you have Waipunarangi and Ururangi, male, female, there's balance. Rain and wind. Why are they above everything else? Because rain and wind comes from above everything else. That is a complete framework for a Māori world. It includes our weather indicators of rain and wind and every part of the environment that we interact with. It includes the air, earth, fresh water, salt water. The other two, why are they there? I have absolutely no idea. But I do know that those are the two sacred stars in the cluster. One is concerned with carrying our dead across the night sky, and the other one is connected to the wishes of the year. When I go outside in the correct lunar phase of the correct lunar month, which is pretty much this week, and the last day to really view it properly is tomorrow. And if I go outside and I look into the eastern sky and I watch it rise, its appearance will tell me what my year is going to be like. So I saw it this morning. I saw that Te Puanuku was bright this morning. I know that it's going to be a relatively good year to plant my garden. Now this is my viewing of it. You locational where you are, you view it, it will be different. But how I saw it. I saw ururangi. I know it's not going to be that windy this year. But they weren't as far spread as they were last year. The summer's not going to be as long as it was last year. It was a long, long summer. Biggest spread I've ever seen it. But it was pulsating quite a lot this morning. That is a sign for me, if I'm reading it, that it's going to be an inconsistent season this season, and it's not going to be as consistent as it was last season. And Hiwa was up. So I've asked for the lotto numbers for this weekend. So if you get up tomorrow morning, or depending on how tonight goes, you might just be getting home tomorrow morning. You're going to see the big yellow ball thing rise. That's the sun. And where it rises, you'll just above, before the sun comes up, you're going to see three stars. Nowhere else in the night sky will you find three stars that bright, that close together. Orion's Belt is the name of that group of stars. Many of you will know it as the pot. Okay, you follow the pot, you go left, you'll come to a triangle, pyramid kind of group of stars. That is Te Kokota, that's the face of Taurus the bull, and you go just a little bit left again, and you're going to bump into Matariki. So looking east, look for those three stars, go left and go left. And you will come to Matariki, and you'll be able to read it in the morning. Now, there's a whole lot of science that I really don't want to bore you with. Well, because I've only got a couple of minutes left. And this is like Matariki presentation number 5,000 this week. I do want to talk to you about this canoe. I want to talk to you about this cluster, because we spoke about that star, Pōhutukawa, the star that leads the dead across the night sky. It leads this canoe. At the front of this canoe, I heard the phrase e hoa during your mihi, pītau whakareia. Pōhutukawa te pītau whakarei o te waka o rangi. Pōhutukawa leads this canoe. That triangle shape is the sail, and at the back you can see Tautoru or Orion's Belt. And just above Orion's Belt there is a star that is Taramainuku. Taramainuku is the owner of this massive cosmic net that he drops to the earth every day. This constellation is in the sky for 11 months of the year. And as it rises in the evening and the sun goes down, Taramainuku drops his net to the earth and trawls for the souls of all the people that have died that day. And as the sun comes up, he hauls the canoe, he hauls all the dead up into the heavens, takes them out of the net, and you can see the feathers hanging off the back of the canoe, and there he hangs the souls of the dead for the year. And that's how we see it, that constellation, and Pōhutukawa leads it all the way to the month of Haratua, about the month of May, June. This constellation and Pōhutukawa sets with the sun, taking our dead to the underworld to be prepared. We wait for a month. Tomorrow morning you'll see it rise, the canoe, flat on the eastern horizon. Just before the sun rises, we would call out the names of all of the dead who have died since the last rising of Matariki, farewell them, and that's when Taramainuku takes those souls, casts them into the sky, and your spirit becomes a star against the chest of the sky forever. Let me show you how this works. There is the sun to the right, setting right next to Matariki. This is in the correct lunar phase of the correct lunar month, taking our dead to the underworld to be prepared. Doesn't happen that quickly. But we know that we're in the right phase because we're following the right lunar month, the right lunar phases, and it's setting, and our dead disappear, and we wait for a month. Tomorrow morning, if you look east, you're going to see this. Correct lunar phase, correct lunar month, the canoe rises, and just as the sun starts to come up, we farewell our dead and open our Māori New Year. This is a period known as Te Mātahi o Te Tau. You can see the 3 stars of Orion's belt there. On the right-hand post, you just go above it, you'll see the 3 stars. You come left, you'll see that little triangle pyramid. You come left again, there is Matariki. You go straight up, that's not a strobe light, that is the moon in the correct lunar phase. Just below the moon, there's 2 stars. That's pipiri, so I know I'm in the correct lunar month. The first rays of sunlight start to open the day. I know I'm in the correct time to farewell my dead. That is us calling out the names of the dead of the year. That's when we start to celebrate. Matariki is bookended by 2 stars. Pōhutukawa, which is about the end of a cycle. It is about the end of the past year. It is connected to death, but not in a sinister way. It's remembering those people who are no longer with us. But it's also connected to Hiwa-i-te-rangi, the star wants you to remember, promise of something new, the promise of new life, the promise of new growth. And I'm going to really pretty much end on that because I'm a proud alumni of this institution. I was very fortunate to have the people lecture me through this institution. When I was here, the cohort that I came through with have gone on to do some absolutely amazing things. I mean, Joe Williams is here. Joe was a generation before me. Much before me. But the people that came through my generation that I remember being at 46 Kelburn Parade are the likes of Taika Waititi, the likes of Māori Land Court Judge Damien Stone, the likes of Joe Nolomu. No, I just made that up. We had some amazing people at this institution during that time and after us as well. And there's a part of us that is imbued within the walls of Te Herenga Waka. That is part of who we are and will always be part of who we are. But everything has its time. And I think the buildings from 46 to 48 right up to 50 are part of that process where Pōhutukawa ends and something else begins. And I'd like you all to think of Hiwa-i-te-rangi. And that is what Matariki is becoming here in Aotearoa. Matariki has moved from being a celebration of a Māori event to becoming a national celebration of unity and identity. It transcends these ideas of political issues that many of our other celebrations and gathering points have. It's connected around 3 major points: remembering those who are no longer with us, celebrating the present, and planning for the future. And its baseline principles are some of the greatest elements and aspects of humankind that we have. Unity, environmental interaction, and aroha or love. And it's with that I leave those messages with you, and I hope this new year, this mātahi o te tau, you think of Hiwa-i-te-rangi, and you think about the project that we have that is the promise of a new year, a new day, a new generation, and launching a mātauranga Māori into a new space. Tēnei te mihi nui ki a koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.